Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Pastor B. Will you be brave enough to admit that you have an addiction to social media? This particular episode today, we're going to talk about our addictions and how social media can feed into them. I do not want you nor myself to allow dopamine and the algorithm to team up against us and to defeat us. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that in today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. And guess what? We're going to start right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Living from Sunday to Sunday podcast. I am your host, Pastor B. I believe that real change happens 15 minutes at a time. And so this is going to be the best 15 minutes of your day. So do me a favor, please make sure that you share this episode, download it. If you're watching via YouTube, make sure that you hit the subscribe button to ensure that every time an episode is released, that you can receive a notification. All right. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think we have to have a good dialogue around, and that is social media and social media addiction. We live in an extremely curated world and curated society. I think if we're honest, we're fooling ourselves if we don't believe that everything that we see, everything that we view on our social media feeds is curated. The dopamine and the algorithm, they team up. They can make a very dangerous cocktail if we're not careful, because you're seeing subconsciously what you want to see. All of our social media feeds are a reflection of our desires. It's a reflection of, I'm not going to say who we are, but it is certainly a reflection of our most intimate needs. And so I think if we're honest and we look at what comes through our feeds, I think we have to be very, very open and very, very honest about how addicted and how attached we are. I was just looking through TikTok the other day, and I'm scrolling, and I just noticed that for a brief period of time, it was difficult for me to bring my eyes to not watch TikTok. Like I wanted to keep scrolling to see what was next, to see what was next, to see what was next. And even after I closed my phone and I walk away, like an hour and a half later, my mind is still on what I was watching on TikTok. And it hit me that um, that content gripped me in such a way that it um, kind of planted seeds of desire in my mind. Um, and so, and it's so crazy. It was an innocent, catchy song the other day that I was watching a feed, and it was super catchy. And I was like, man, this is really, really dope. And man, when I tell you that song stayed with me all day, now of course that's what music does, right? Music is the language of the soul. So I'm not blaming it on music itself, but if you're, familiar with TikTok, one of the things with TikTok is they use music to boost and promote content. The TikTok sounds are all all the rage, right? You can take a clip from any video, make it a sound, and create memes and magic and all of these things from it. But the issue and the problem becomes when we're unable to pull away, when we're so drawn in and so addicted to the dopamine high of likes, and so addicted with the content of other people's lives, that our personal lives diminish um, subconsciously, right? It's a slow pull. It's a slow drip. It's never anything that I think happens um, automatically. And I'm 42. This is 2024, and the beginning of social media as it is now kind of started in 2008. So a big bulk of my adult life, there's been some form of social media around. And I think we have to be able to um, discern when our attention, when our affection is being pulled away. Right? We have to be able to admit that, hello, my name is Brian and I'm addicted to TikTok, or hello, my name is Brian and Twitter is my life, or um, I can't live without Instagram. So I find validation in the arguments of Facebook, right? Um, because one thing that I believe, and it's a fact of really anything in this world, is that anything good that's created with good intentions can be corrupted, right? And so it's not the thing itself that's always bad. It's um, the ability for man to take it upon itself to be influenced by the enemy and our fleshly desires to take a good thing and corrupt it, right? YouTube in itself isn't a bad medium. It's actually really, really great because you have the option to learn without stepping foot in a classroom, right? You can be educated, you can be entertained. But there's certain creators and certain topics that is harmful to your spirit if you're not careful, right? And I think that sometimes is where the error and where the issue is that social media sometimes can wear down our filters, right? What used to be um, topics and content that we used to be very rigid and very stringent about not allowing. Today, we're not as upset about it. It doesn't um, influence or charge our spiritual senses, right? And so that's why, again, I believe that the um, intentionality of taking social media breaks, taking social media fast, of blocking certain creators. Um, I posted on Facebook yesterday that we are too emotionally invested in the content and post of other people. Somebody can post something and we can get so upset and get so charged and become angry off of something someone said that we've never met. And it's like all we have to do is just simply keep scrolling, right? There's no commandment for us to reply to everything. Now, the one thing about um, digital content is that you can make a living out of it, right? And so those of us who are digital creators, part of the way you make money is through engagement, right? So you have to be on social, you have to engage, you have to um, comment, you have to share, you have to do all of these things. And so I think before you become a digital creator, this is something that I learned. Before you become a digital creator, you have to know who you are. You have to have personal boundaries. You have to have personal limits and things that that you stand for, right? If you have a family, if you're in school, like you can't allow um, social media to interfere with the boundaries that you set. Now, if you've never set any boundaries, then you're going to find yourself in really, really hot water, right? Because um, if we don't have any personal boundaries, then we can be influenced by anything and everything that we see. That's how you can find an adult male in his 40s and 50s who 20 years ago um, processed everything through logic and reason, and that same person now who has allowed our media, social media, to polarize and to separate us can be um, so far left or so far right that there's no um, there's no middle ground. No one can tell you anything different, right? And I think that's the enemy's desire, especially now, man. We're living in such a crazy, political time, and really we've been like this for a while. Well, over the last, I say, 12 years, it's been really, really prevalent that there's no nuance, there's no middle ground. You're either for us or you're against us. Um, and that idea is in so much of our lives, right? Even in the realm of Christianity, in the realm of belief and faith, there's a us or them, right? And I think it's it's a part of our desire, I think, to be right. Like every man has an innate desire to be right. But what happens is, will you be humble enough to admit that you don't get it right all the time and that you don't know everything, right? Um, and so you can find a tribe in social media, but yeah, the tribe can be a bad one. It could be an ugly one, right? And so we just have to be able to manage that ourselves. We have to be able to just be honest and say, man, I spend too much time on my phone. Man, I'm watching this way too much. Because I think the health of our spirits and our whole man is impacted whenever we're out of balance. I had a conversation with a leader of mine. He said, you want to just check your balance, man. Because, like, whenever we're out of balance, I think areas that we were once very strong in, areas that we were once extremely dependable, extremely reliable in, those areas become impacted when um, when we're out of balance and we're leaning too far left or leaning too far right. There's people that's depending on us, people that's in the boat with us as well. And when we're the cause of the choppy waters, or when we're the cause of the boat almost tipping over, or when we're the cause of seasickness, we have to examine ourselves and say, man, maybe I need to stop for a moment and look at the balances and see which side has too much weight. See what I need to get rid of on this side so that the rest of my life is balanced. Am I putting too much time here and not enough time here? Right? It's important. It's really, really important that we're honest and that we don't allow social media to be a crutch. All right. That's it. That's all I have for today. Again, thank y'all so much for listening to today's podcast. Of course, you can find this podcast everywhere where they are available, everywhere where they can be found. Good Pods is a good spot. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, right? So please, again, like this video, share it. If anything that's been said today has blessed you or helped you, leave a comment in the podcast feed, and I would love to share with you and to chat with you. All right. So until next time, we'll see you when we see you. Bye, y'all. Thank you for listening to the Living from Sunday to Sunday podcast. All episodes are available everywhere where podcasts can be found. Make sure that you like the show, download, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any. Thank you for listening to the Living from Sunday to Sunday podcast. Happens. All episodes are available everywhere where podcasts can be found. Make sure that you like the show, download, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any of the future episodes. Remember, real change happens between Sundays. Talk to you soon.